Hasn't the media been covering itself in glory of late? Let's catch up with Sophie Elsworth, the media writer for The Australian, to get some of the latest. The media, Sophie, especially Channel 7, it must be said, has been getting itself into a bit of strife. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first up, I want to go to the story you had in The Australian today about the size of the Prime Minister's media unit. I was staggered to find that there's 11 people on staff to look after the media.
Well, yes, that's right, Chris. I mean, it's not bad, really, is it? The size of a cricket team is now the Prime Minister's, size of his media division, which is in comparison to Scott Morrison in the lead up to the last election. He had 4 media advisors. So this is almost triple that, Chris. And I think the viewers at home might be questioning whether that is a few too many to be guiding Mr Albanese on how to handle his media appropriately. Yeah,
it looks a bit many. Let's have a look at some of the lineup, because they're using the cricket analogy. They're not all opening batters, but you got Brett Mason and Catherine Murphy and Stella Todorovic, who used to work for us. They're all 3 sort of prominent journalists. They were pretty well known around the press gallery before they joined his team. But who are all the others, Sophie, and what do they do?
Well, there's a whole mix, Chris. Some are long-time Labor staffers. As you said, there's ex-journalists in there. And, of course, there's Catherine Murphy in there. We knew that she came across from The Guardian. She had many favourable columns towards the Labor government, so that wasn't a surprise when she was appointed this year. There's quite a lot of ex-journos in there. So, this is where a lot of the media advisors come. Often, as you know, Chris, they come from the media side and then move into the spinner side.
Indeed, I've had a swing at that sort of stuff myself. I know it well. Now, something else I've always wanted to have a swing at is to be a defamation lawyer, because I've seen it from every side over the years, and I reckon one of the easiest cases defamation lawyer ever would have been this one where Channel 7 incorrectly named a bloke by the name of Benjamin Cohen as a murderer, right? Now, they apologised quickly, but this is settled, right? I mean, it's just so obvious that 7 was going to have to stump up a fair bit of money to repair that damage and to avoid going to court.
Well, absolutely, Chris. Look, I would argue this is the biggest news story that we have had in Australia this year, that Bondi mass murders that we saw, 6 people killed, and 7 stuffed it up. They had their hosts, including Matt Shervington, name the wrong man as the killer in broadcast the following morning. And this was disastrous for 7. And as a result, they've had to mop up the mess. I've heard that Benjamin Cohen has been paid 6-digit sum from Channel 7. They had to swiftly act to resolve this, so it didn't go to court, but a big error on a massive story, Chris.
Yeah, if he didn't collect $250,000 on that, I'd eat my hat. Now, the 7 News boss has moved on, though. Is that connected to this and some other stuff-ups?
Well, I did ask 7 today because their news boss, Craig McPherson, has left. He has quit and has been replaced by Anthony DeSegli, who heads up the West Australian newspapers. But yes, Chris, the timing is very curious. I asked 7 if the timing was anything to do with the Bondi Junction stuff-up that 7 had, and also those allegations of credit card misuse by the Spotlight program, and a 7 spokesman would not comment. But 7 have had a huge changing of the guard, Chris. The CEO's gone, their commercial director, Bruce McWilliams, gone, Craig McPherson's gone, Mark Llewellyn, the boss of Spotlight's gone. The list goes on. So word is Kerry Stokes is not happy with what's been going on there, Chris, and they've had a major overhaul. Yeah,
going to have to be a big shake-up because, as you say, they're all walking out, and others either have to be brought in or promoted. Thanks for joining us, Sophie. Appreciate it. Sophie Elsworth, you can read her stuff in The Australian all over it as usual.